Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's show. We do have Mr. Mike Pierce back from the sick bed, and we have the greatest, which is not referring to Brad himself. He's referring to the guy in his t-shirt. But yeah, Muhammad Ali, true legend. So yeah, he is the greatest. But today, Mike, what are we going to be talking about?
We are going to be, we actually have some questions that have come through on link building. We're going to be talking about link building tactics, been putting together some content around link building. There's a lot of nonsense out there, I think, but I just want to let John know I was looking forward to this one with him as well. So thank you.
Always, yes.
And
last week sucked because Mike wasn't here. It was just me and Craig rattling on about shit. So
no, I like to hear Craig talk, and that's why
I wasn't talking about the bad part. Wasn't Craig? It was me.
But I need to because I heard a lot of good things about it, and it probably went well because I wasn't here, dude. I think you have it backwards. But
yeah, probably.
I think I'm the only dude who has contracted that fucking virus twice, dude.
You're the only two people I know that have gotten it.
Yeah. So maybe I should wear a mask more. I don't know. No,
well, the first time, I'm like, where'd you get it? The grocery store. Were you not wearing a mask? No. I was like, well, that's on you. And then the second time, where'd you get it? My daughter brought it home. I was like, from school? Yeah. Do they not wear masks? No. I was like, you people need to start fucking wearing masks. But
we have no cases.
Zero. Yeah. Just like North Korea back in the day, or last year. Hey, at least you didn't cut your finger while you're trying to.
I'm sick in bed and I get this picture from Brad and there's a slice there. And I'm like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah. 4 stitches. Yeah. I get them out today after this. I'm waiting, going home. Then I can, I've been able to do like bands and shit and run, but I haven't been able to put on the gloves. So
yeah, see, for me, my first case, this one was a lot better, dude. I would take this one over the last one. And the first one, on the 7th day, I felt better, and then I started not being able to breathe for days and a week, and that was freaking horrible.
John's calling you a chicken lover. Not the word he used in private, but
we don't know what goes on between Mike and those chickens.
Dude,
they're squawking.
Are getting me eggs. I get 5 to 6 eggs a day. It's delicious.
Eat them.
I do.
You know what I don't like about the fresh eggs, though, and I don't know why, is they're hard as crap to crack without breaking the yolk. Is there a technique?
No, it's interesting. They're good. But, I know I have a ton of questions about link building this week, so I'm going to start.
No, it's chickens now.
It's not chickens, bro. It's not. Dude, I already had my eggs this morning.
Fucking chickens. Where's Corey when you need him?
I know, when they come out and play.
Guns and chickens.
There's a point I want to make today, and we're going to go through a whole bunch of shit, and I want to ask some questions of you and Craig and just kind of see. We're going to start with the skyscraper technique, okay? I'm sure you both have heard of the skyscraper technique, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so what this is, if you're new in the audience, this has been coined by Brian Dean. It's essentially going out, finding an amazing piece of content that is already gathering links and just writing it again and making it better and going out and getting
writing it again. If they have the top 20 link building tactics that are working in 2021, you would go out and do top 25 link building tactics.
Exactly. And numbers are important here. A little side note is a number can actually make a huge difference in the response for actually the link building and conversion. So
numbers and question marks increase your CTR.
Absolutely. We'll go into numbers one other day because I could go on a whole fucking tangent about numbers. But basically, you're reverse engineering a popular site with whatever tool you want to do. This is Ahrefs. This is SEMrush, whatever. Those who should not be spoken of, and any other tools that you have out there that you want to use. You can use BuzzSumo to find things that have been highly shared. So essentially, what you're doing is you're going out and you're gathering all of this content, this content piece or content pieces to put together and make this beautiful skyscraper, because we all as humans are drawn to like the biggest, prettiest thing. So the technique is to take the biggest, prettiest thing.
Content and women, yes.
Exactly. And make it bigger and prettier is the whole goal. So
it's like, that's like me and you. You're bigger and prettier, so more people like to
I
talk
am
to
bigger.
you.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm prettier, but I am bigger.
We're both pretty.
But for this, it's like, okay, this is cool. This does work, but I have a problem with it. I want to know Craig, what is your opinion of the skyscraper technique? Have you ever used it? Or have you used it in a different way? Would you classify it as link building? Would you classify it as content creation? Like, this is what I'm getting at. So let's like look at these link building tactics that people are asking about. And are they really link building tactics?
Are people considering skyscraper a link building tactic?
It is.
I guess, yeah, you're supposed to attract
that's what people
links,
say.
right? Yeah.
I mean, obviously can be, you could twist it into a link building tactic, but it is content creation.
That's my point.
When you look at it, content creation to try and attract links, you know, it's the same as, you know, people doing all these kind of ego bait, you know, blog posts or whatever, you know, the top 50 SEO guys in the world say this, and this, and they're trying to get that shared around the internet and see that as link building. I would call it kind of shitty link building, if I'm being honest.
Slow for sure. Yeah.
I would call it a good practice to give to your writers and editors, right? It's definitely a great way to create content. I'm not knocking it at all, and I understand why people call it a link building tactic. But the one thing this is going to drive home for some of you new people out there today is that let's cut the chaff and I'm going to categorize this as, so we've got someone came in and said bigger, better, stronger, faster. That's the bionic man. This is a bionic man tactic right here. We'll call this a content tactic. So we're gonna reclassify the skyscraper technique as content, and I really want to figure out how many of these questions we've gotten and how many of these link building techniques that are floating around are content versus actual link building. So I think we have a point to make here today, actually. So the next one that came up was expert roundups and group interviews. Again, if you're not familiar with a roundup or what a group interview is, it's going out and say, I'm going to write a piece of content on flipping websites and making money online. So I'm going to go out. I'm going to send some questions over to Craig. Craig, where do you buy your websites? Brad, how do you make money online? I'm going to send it over to Chris Palmer and ask him
OnlyFans.
Where did he get his nice fireplace and that kind of thing.
Who did your stonework?
Exactly. And I actually like his stonework a lot, to be honest with you. But
that is a fake background, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have a very similar.
Yeah, yours looks like that. Dude. Yeah, it's funny.
So it trips me out when I see it. So again, this is another one that has come up recently to me directly. It's in a lot of guides as a link building tactic. Where would you? The whole point of this is that you don't have to like create a lot of content because you're getting Craig to write it, Chris, Brad to write the content, and you just stick that in a piece of content together. And now you have a nice page of experts talking about the topic that you wanted to put up and rank for. Now,
that's kind of how the book Think and Grow Rich was created, right? Didn't Carnegie send Napoleon Hill out and curate everyone's thoughts? And it's still.
So we'll lay it out for people. Like let's say I'm going to classify this as content. Do you guys consider this content or
content? Yeah.
Okay.
The only hope of getting more links with this versus skyscraper would be maybe everyone that you interviewed puts you through the content piece through their social channels.
That's one of the reasons they call it a link building tactic is because you're playing on ego. Like you're going, hey, Brad.
I was gonna say it's an ego play. Yeah.
Come here, Brad. Ego. Link to this piece of content that you that we wrote about you and talked about. We made you an expert. Put it in your social media, and that's why they talk about it as a link building tactic. Now, with that on note, like, would you guys call this a link building tactic? Have you done this? What do you think, Craig?
I mean, I get asked to do it all the time, and yes, I have done it. I've been involved in it. It's good for brand awareness. It's good for social media content and sharing shit out there and making yourself look like an expert. However, does that stuff actually move the needle? Nah. Like, not for me.
I don't think it's scalable, man. Like, honestly, dude. Like,
I was gonna say, I would never do it. I would never be the round upper, because it sounds like too much fucking work.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I have done it on sites like Just Lux. We've done it. We use it for content creation. But I will say it's not the SEOs doing this. It is the content creators, the editors that are actually doing this in a real business, in my opinion. This is not something that someone should be spending time on if they are an SEO agency or doing lead generation. It is something that, this is how I would do it. I would go out, I would take a plugin that scrapes the top results and mash those up and put them into a single page, and then that would be my content.
I have done that. Yeah, that does not take much time.
So that I classify this more as link building. Now, Craig, have you ever linked to anyone that wrote about you in this kind of post? This is a good question, I think, because let's see if it works. When they wrote about you, have you linked to them?
No, absolutely.
Okay. So,
also, Mike and Craig, would you consider a link from a social property like Facebook, Twitter, anything like that? Would you consider that a backlink in this regard?
No.
I wouldn't, because to me, that's more, you know how I feel about links. Everything's a link, but if I'm going to go out and I'm talking about real link building and I want to make a site move and I want to move the needle, it ain't a social share that I'm going after, right? I don't think either of you are either.
No, definitely.
The social benefit comes from the traffic. So if traffic comes through that link, then it's beneficial. If not, then it's just kind of out there. Yeah,
absolutely. You can have it enhance certain things. It will do things that isn't edge. It flows a topical relevance in a way. It does shit. They're good to have, but if I'm link building, like looking at this from a link builder's point of view, hey, content writer, put this piece of content together for me. Hey, young Gary, give me a link, right? That's my process over like hoping Craig links to me when that happens, right? So content, I think, that's where we're going.
Let me flip this back on you though, right? So you've got this content piece and it's linking out to like 50 different, right? So forget about that. Normally when you get a link, and a real link that you guys would consider a real link, how many outgoing links would be on that page or post?
Very good point, dude, because we know the math is divided between everyone on there. There's just no question about it. I do not want a high link count on my pages. I want to go as small as possible with a good graph around it, dude.
What would you think about, like, if you did this kind of post, Mike, instead of linking to the actual, like the person that you're highlighting? So if I went out and told Craig, you know, I'm doing a roundup, I'm going to have 10 different guys. You're top of the list. He agrees begrudgingly. So instead of linking back to his site, what if I linked to an internal page that made like a Craig profile on my site?
I absolutely would create the cluster that way. I think it's a much better way to do it. So, and even if you're not doing the cluster there, what you could do is just quote as well, and just have a quote and reference something else essentially. But I think building the cluster around it and making an industry base cluster would be more beneficial than going directly off site. Yes.
Well, then you could link at the bottom of the Craig page, a link to the 9 other people, or vary it up. And then theoretically you could link out from, I would prefer to link out from my site to Craig's from that page, as opposed to, and that's what you would do, because I'm trying to rank.
With the recent updates, this is get into like current link building and site architecture. Like on your primary pages, you truly do not want to be linking out to anyone else. You want to be linking to internal pages, and then on your supports to be linking out if you need to link out. So the data truly does show that that's how your structure should.
For your support page, do you go both ways or just one? Yeah, I know you personally go both ways, but I'm just asking about your support pages.
Thanks for taking it there, buddy.
Yeah,
you've been taking it there for the last 6 years of my life.
Gosh darn right.
Gosh darn right. So, but yeah, good tip, good point. Primary page, link to internal pages, support pages, you can link out.
You're adding more link target to your site as well. You know, you're adding more link targets, because you can create a unique page about Craig real quick with a few sentences. You know, just bullshit something. Yeah, have a video, picture, all his contact info, and let it rip. Yeah.
I think even on that note, we told a client that we're white labeling with today that we're going to be dropping their content size down from 3K posts a day, 3K words to 1K words, just to flesh the site out more and to have more targets. So I want to stress a point. that targets, yeah, I'm going to get that right in a second. Targets are important because you don't want to go like 100,000 people, like links to a single page. You want to like spread this out and make the whole site buoyant.
Yeah. So instead of doing 3,000 word pages, we decided, at least right now, to do 1,000 word articles or content pieces to put out. So we can do more content pieces because they've got a thin site.
Go ahead. Go for that question, Craig.
I was just going to yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
You link to the content relevant to your topic, whether internally or externally. You can, but you do want, it is a preference now and it works better. I'm not going to say this is what you have to do. It's not a hard rule, and I will break this rule anytime I choose to. Optimally, you will not be linking out of your primary page to another site. You will optimally be linking into your own site, like Brad just mentioned. That's just optimal. It's not a hard, fast rule, but
is that Elon Musk we've got on our? He says his name's Mark, but kind of looks like Elon.
He's a handsome dude.
Yeah, it's a nice picture.
Sharp dude.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we've classified interviews and roundups. I'm going to take Craig saying, no, I didn't link out. I know I would never link out, and I don't link out when it happens. I don't think Brad would. So I'm going to say at least 50% of people are not going to link out. So if you're going to build the article with 10 people and you want 5 links, or you want 5 links for the article, interview 10 freaking people and you'll probably get 2 of them linking to you or something like that. But guess what? I'm never testing it.
Yeah.
So I ain't doing a controlled test on it. Let me check the list. Okay.
I don't like doing controlled tests.
All right.
I don't like being controlled.
This is a little bit better. Okay. We get to a little bit more what I consider link building. So guest posting. Let's define guest posting how the white hat community defines guest posting, okay? I'm going to go out and I'm going to do a gray hat. Let's go gray hat first. I'm going to do a search that does a query in Google that says submit content and with a keyword or something like that. I'm going to find all these sites that take content submissions, and that's one way to build lists for guest posting, right? The good white hat way is, hey, Craig, I'm an SEO.
I just did this fantastic content piece. Would you like to link to it? It's
that's not guest posting. I would be like, hey, Craig, I'm an SEO. Can I write content for your website, right?
Yeah.
I come on your website and write some content, okay? Or, hey, I don't want to compete with you, so I'm going to come out and say, hey, Craig, we do website design. I'm going to hope you don't do website design when I'm doing this, but I know you do some. I think you have in the past at least. We do website design. I wanted to put a content piece together specifically for your website. Can I put this on your website and then maybe link back to this guide that I have? I have this guide. I think that's where you were going when I interrupted you, weren't you, Brad?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm sorry, brother, because I realize that's exactly where you're going. You're writing a guide on your site, and then you come out and say, hey, I want to write a guide on this, and I'm going to reference this guide, and now you've got this cool like combo together. Like you've got the post over on the external site on Craig's site. Brad's got his post on NFG SEO, and they're doing this like handshake buddy. I'm not going to say it.
Just reach around. Yeah.
And now you've got the backlink. So what's the problem with that for you guys? I have a couple problems with it, but I'm wondering if you do.
Time.
Okay. Time. What? Anything else, Craig? Like here, we'll go back to this standard question. Have you done it? Have you used it? Have you been recipient of it and allowed it to happen?
Nah. Absolutely.
None of them? Answer is to no. Okay. I've never done it. I've never been a recipient, even when they've asked. And when they've asked it, I have not allowed it because I don't need to promote someone else's content personally.
Yeah. It's time. When you do that, the cost is way out there just because, you're paying staff to do all the writing, do all the outreach, all of that. It gets expensive. And I've seen some large agencies that we've come behind and we've seen their link building and seeing the amount that, and everyone I think in this room would know them, at least 90%.
They would all know them, and they're one of the top firms for that. And we had to take the contracts from them because of it,
Yeah, but because they couldn't build links quick enough. And
no,
the links that they were getting for $20,000 a month or whatever they were charging was like a handful, maybe like 5 to 10. And they could never hit specific targets. It's hard to continually hit specific pages that you want. You just kind of have to throw everything out there and hope that you get links to this page, and some link targets might not end up ever getting hit. So it's just too inconsistent for me, in my opinion.
But also, when you've got a real website like me, if you approach me, what dog shit piece of garbage am I going to be getting to put up on my website? Really, is it something that's really going to speak in the tone that I would want to speak in anyway? Probably not. So it's just a no-go for me from that point of view. Trust is just a big thing.
I agree 100%. And what I will say, I've gone the opposite route. So Charles Float actually released an ebook maybe a few years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. And one of my websites ended up in that ebook as a course for backlinks, actually. And what was awesome?
The trust flow thing?
What's that?
The trust flow thing?
No, I don't know. It was actually the site that I built with Rob, dude.
Okay, I didn't know if it was trust flow backlinks.
No, it wasn't trust flow. PBN trust flow. It wasn't PBN.
Yeah.
It was a site I built in the luxury space with Rob. And what's funny is it was a great source. Like, he did a good job putting in there. But what he didn't know, because I don't know Charles, is that I created what he was talking about to get free content. And so it worked extremely well in this case. And I have thousands upon thousands of pages of content that are related that I got for free because I made a community section. Essentially, SEOs go to the site, they publish content. I no follow as I want. I do follow as I want. I've been penalized for this on the site, but I've had it removed. And actually, some of my highest traffic pages on that website were written by affiliates that I skim 50% of the revenue off of, right? And so I see it as a benefit from a content point for if you're getting content from other people. But remember, like, I'm no following every piece of content that goes in there. And so you might not be getting what you want off of people once you go to all this effort to stick content to, like Brad said, pay for it and all of this, right? So what I think, and I wonder what you think, Craig and Brad, is that I would rather spend the money putting the content on my site and then buy some links to that content. So using guest posts in the way that I think we all think about it, which is going out and finding and just paying for guest posts rather than going out and trying to write content for someone else's website. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
That's what I do all day. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same boat. I wouldn't pay money to write on Brad's site. Fuck Brad.
No, I think it's really,
I'd fuck my site.
I think it's a silly concept, to be honest. I get it. I get that people want to follow terms of service and not break rules, this and that. But I think people forget that Google will penalize you whether you're following terms of service or not. And I've seen many white hat SEOs become a real SEO. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying you're not real SEOs, white hat SEOs. I really am not. That was a bad way to say that. I get it. I understand that that you're following terms of service. However,
you can never follow terms of service, in my opinion, 100%. Because anything you do,
I agree,
to increase rankings is outside of terms of service, right?
What I will say is I have seen people that follow terms of service the best to a T lose their businesses because Google decided to change practices. It's not a good business model to let Google dictate how you market your own businesses, okay? They are a for-profit company, and
a much for-profit company. They make a fuck ton of money. Yeah.
Exactly. So just be safe. Don't go outside of terms of service and get yourself banned and de-indexed. But don't waste your money building someone else's website necessarily, because you might be benefiting them more than you're benefiting yourself, and it might not even do anything for you when you do it. So you don't know the history of the sites you're sticking it on. You're looking at third-party metrics that really can be faked. Like, you want a DA freaking 60 site? Give me a month. You want a freaking DR site of like 40 or 50? Give me a couple of weeks, right? I mean, it's not hard to make those stats up and show that. So,
especially DR. I mean, you can increase that with a few 301s.
Exactly. That's my point. Like the way people do it in the industry when they're actually going out and doing this kind of link building, they're a lot of them are not using real metrics because they're not looking at the actual stats of the website. To really be confident to do that, if I wanted to put a piece of content on someone else's site, I would be basing that more on, how many views that site's getting, like what kind of exposure and what the demographic is, rather than going out and freaking doing it for a backlink. It is not cost efficient to do it for a backlink. Now, I think you both might agree that if it was, if I wanted to sell an SEO product, then I might want to write a piece of content for your website, Craig, and try to get you to put it on there for the fact of the exposure rather than the backlink, right?
What I would prefer to do, honestly, is say I'm doing a product launch or whatever, is I would rather offer that Craig and I work on something together, and then he gets a commission off of everything that he sends over. I mean, I would think, when you look at it from a what's in it for me standpoint, me coming to Craig, what's in it for Craig, I would think he would be much more likely to say yes to that versus can I write this piece of content and you link over and blah, blah, blah. It's free content for your site. Everyone's happy. Hey, Craig, you want to make money together? Fucking hell, I do,
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, we have a question here from John, and I'd be curious to know if you guys have ever done shit like this. Have you ever offered to audit a website and just drop an article on it?
You got to be careful because that's on the verge of hacking. If you're
Dude, I have a friend that did a year in Fed fucking prison for that kind of shit. So no, absolutely not.
Yeah, and I was faced at one point with a choice. I was working on. Someone came to me a while ago, had an attorney client that they needed help with. So I helped them and kept the client for a few years, and eventually they wanted to bring it in house and dropped it. But it was $6,000 to $8,000 a month for 2 years. I didn't spend that much money on it. Didn't have a ton of time into it after the first month or two. So I was like, yeah, it's about right for an SEO contract. That's pretty good. Well, the person that I was working on it with wanted me to go in and just rip down all of the content that we had done, rip down everything. I was like, no, they paid for that. I'm not doing it. And they are lawyers, so they know how to sue. So I will not be doing that. Yeah, so that would make me nervous. Just fucking with people's site like that. It's one thing for negative SEO from an off-page perspective, but if you're actually going into the back end and either adding or taking away content, that's when you can get into some serious trouble.
You don't want to touch that kind of thing at all. You don't want to touch hack stuff. You don't want to touch. That's essentially hacking at that point. Anything that uses a username and a password to get into and then changing it without permission can get you in hot water, dude.
Next one is obviously from Mark Rose saying the last algo update hit guest posters hard, probably because the links in the posts are to the guest poster site, which isn't always relevant to the host's site content. He goes on to say that Craig actively tells people to go down the niche edit route. So has that advice changed now? What do you think? What is your answers before I answer it, guys?
Yeah,
you said the one thing. The first one was where
the longer one up at
wait a second.
12:21 my time, Mike.
Let me see, 21. Okay, there it is. All right, I couldn't find it in there. That's not even it. Okay, there it is. The last algo update. Yeah, what I'm gonna say here is you're gonna look at the key is the topical relevance right there. Honestly, dude, if you're building outside of topical relevance, then you're just wasting time and budget, in my opinion, unless you're going down a very spammy route and going all the way into certain practices. If you're out there, and there's a lot of SEOs in this boat, and I'm not saying that this is Mark, this is just Mark's observation, is that a lot of them here, the guest post, they find a guest post service. That guest post service is potentially a network, guys. It's not necessarily real guest posting like you would buy from a service. There is a good chance when you go to unscrupulous people that
there are a shit ton on Conquer that used to work extremely well.
Yeah, it does. It did. And again, there's things that can work now, but you might be getting just into someone's network. So a lot of the data that you see, like guest postings not working, I would say 80% of the guest posting you guys hear about, maybe 60%, that's not off of a real marketplace, like that is known to people in the industry. They're networks, guys. You're not buying guest posts. You're buying PBN posts, like straight up. That's
even if they're nicer PBN posts. They're PBN posts, yeah.
I mean, they might work. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying relevance and the fact that you might be in something super dirty can be a problem.
And does the niche edit route still work, in your opinion?
Works for me.
Anything link-wise where you can put your link on a page that is already existing in the index
and it's relevant.
Superior to anything else that you do, no matter what it is. And don't let anyone tell you any different. If it is a page,
can you explain why, in your opinion, that's the case?
I mean, we can go to one simple explanation, which is crawl budget, right? We can go to one simple fact is the way that they crawl it. If you go and build 10 links on sites that are brand new posts that have not been crawled and indexed, you don't have a great chance of necessarily getting this crawled through to you and credited even. Now, if you go out and you put 10 links on 10 pages that are already have already been published without looking at if those are in the index, there is a good chance that they're already being actively crawled, so that you might see that credit within a day, within a few hours, depending on how large the site is. This is inherently why a pre-sale page, an edit, like all these things, like the different names that have come out for what really works, continues to work. If you, like I just said, going out buying guest posts on a PBN, if you go out and take that same freaking site and buy those posts on a relevant page that's already indexed on that PBN, it's going to work so much freaking better. So whether, I don't even know how people define edits, like niche edits. All to me that matters, and this should be all that matters to every SEO out there, is that you're getting a link that's already in the index, and there's an update, and you're getting change, and you're now being linked to. This works. It continues to work. It will always work, in my opinion. But
yeah, 100% agree. Craig Mullins is asking, if you buy an expired domain and it is a few nasty links that you want to disavow, do you disavow those links on the new domain as well? Because do you think these pass the power and the penalty if it's been disavowed on the original domain name?
I typically try not to buy them that
I don't buy them
like dirty at all. Yeah.
To be honest, I would also take as much protection as possible, always. And the fact that a 301, if we just look at simple facts like a 301, even though it's kind of tangent to this, passes 100% page rank until they determine it's not related. Typically, nasty links are not related. Typically, you want to disassociate yourself with them. I personally do not use disavow files. I do not like giving Google data, and that's what you're doing when you send that data into. I've been on the other side where people are throwing my shit into disavow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to get your shit de-indexed, throw it into a bunch of disavow files. Yeah.
Yeah. Like my networks have been de-indexed because of that. Like I just
especially from a mass page perspective, when you're auto building links and it's just referencing pieces of content or whatever out there just randomly to get the random, outbound links in there to make it look more natural. That's when you end up in people's
that's a horrible
files.
idea. Whoever let's link out to authority websites in our space on every page. That was a really bad idea for people that were building mass sites and PBNs, dude.
It's a good way, like I said, to end up in tens, if not hundreds of disavow files, and then there goes your network.
Hint, hint, black hat, negative.
Yeah.
No, but so, all right. Are there any more questions before I move on to the next? Let's see.
We do have a few questions. Let's just go through them.
Oh, let's just go. Okay, yeah, that's fine. We'll go.
So Mark Rolls is saying, write content, put it in Medium, get paid when they read it.
Yes.
It's a high DA backlink, Top Gun. That's more a statement. Christina is saying, can you tell shortly how you deal with big e-commerce website URLs, i.e. there are products with multiple URLs, caps lock included in several categories. Do you make 301 redirect or make canonical URL?
So that's faceted search, and there's a lot of, depending on what you're using for your e-commerce, a lot of solutions already are out there for you. Like Shopify has solutions, BigCommerce has solutions. With faceted search, you are going to be using canonicals to bring that into a single bucket, because if you start 301ing these additional URLs, well, then you're 301ing people's search filters and you're screwing up their conversion process. and the funnel. So you're going to focus in that case on minimizing the spread of your link juice, but also with the top level focus of conversion. So yeah, canonical.
Another one, Viral Clout is asking, what's your opinion on John Mueller coming out publicly about duplicate content?
Oh, I don't really follow Mueller. Do you?
Well, actually, I had something to talk about Mueller today too, and I forgot to do it at the beginning because he also came out and he gave a good hint to people. He said that removing blog comments might hurt your rankings. Yep.
Like removing the ability to have blog comments.
If somebody like removing also, like look at it from this way. Take away John Mueller. This is something I want people to understand is that when people come and comment on your blog, if it is irrelevant content, you're increasing your site count, you're increasing your keyword targets when they target on this, when they come and publish it. So if you remove content that is already on a page, is that usually good for you? Not really. No. You remove the blog comments from a page that are already indexed, you're taking away content that Google is considering relevant to the page. You can look at a whole page as a single document. The blog comments are not individual to that page, right? So on that note, in this case, duplicate content, if you have a duplicate piece of content and you throw on like 20 blog comments that outweighs that duplicate piece of content, is it now duplicate content or a unique piece of content? So like look in between the lines.
Just like curation, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. These statements are not individual. It's kind of like single variable testing. Like they're talking, these questions come in, they're like, okay, this. No. Well, in this case, no. In this case, yes, right?
Number one SEO answer of all time is it depends, right?
It depends. And that's true. It really depends. Because if I go out and grab a bunch of pieces of duplicate content and put it together into a single piece of content, it is now no longer a duplicate page. Okay?
Down to the word level, every single word in that article is a duplicate word because it's already been used somewhere else, unless you're just making up words, right?
However, I was going to say, if you look at passages and you look at individual segments of content with the technology they're coming out with, that may have a different weight now. And I haven't seen too much issue in my sites, but the fact that they're ranking and they're giving an individual rank score to individual passages of content, now it might be smart to paraphrase content before you stick it into a single piece, or translate that piece of content before you stick it into a single piece, okay? So if you want to be smart, spammy, grab the content mashup and then paraphrase that whole thing and throw it into your page rather than just grabbing the mashup and sticking it on the page.
That's what I try and be, is smart, spammy.
Yes, that's current. I mean, that's more current than just mashing it up and throwing it on. However, I would still mash it up and throw it on myself. But there's yeah, Craig.
Question, going back to the link building side of things, what constitutes as a relevant link? Is it based on the page or the domain name, in your opinion?
So here's the way clusters work. If I have a page on Facebook that is about my business, that is about roofing, my Facebook page is relevant to my business, okay? So yes, that is relevant in that cluster. However, the site is not relevant to the whole site. So if you start to outweigh that kind of like connection, that kind of edge to a domain, then you're going to start skewing some percentages that might cause you problems as you start to try to rank. But in the short term, if you have a site about posters that's linking to, I'm going back to Revenge of the Mini-Net Bible time, dude. If you have a site about posters and a site about dogs, those sites can be relevant to each other. If there is
dog posters.
Yeah, if there's a site if there's a page on the poster site about dogs, you now have a relevant link to the poster to the dog site. Okay.
I did that with a client with magnets one time. They sold all kinds of magnets. So I mean, relatively any site out there, they made it essentially a magnet in that niche. So it made it easier to kind of form relevance in that manner. Like refrigerator magnets is what that's what, you know.
No, yeah, it's really interesting. Understanding relevance is like a fundamental SEO concept that everyone really should have down to like a T. But I don't think it's not talked about enough and thrown enough into people's minds. Relevance is extremely important to understand because now you can almost make anything relevant if you understand relevance enough and you understand.
I've been trying to make myself relevant for years, and I just can't,
bro. I
can't. When you say anything, you mean almost anything. Yeah,
almost anything, except for me. Now that I'm 41, I'm not relevant anymore.
Dude, you're relevant to like retirement communities and stuff.
Right? No doubt. So we've got this. Yeah. So rather than doing guest posts, you'd rather create content on your own site instead. Therefore, what types of links would you use to point to the new content?
PBN. Easiest one is the mini nets. So PBNs that you own and that are niched out. And
is that easiest though?
And niche edits.
Yeah. Well, also here's the thing. I want to clarify something. What I was addressing with guest posts, I'm not an advocate of going out and writing content and throwing it on their page and taking all this time and effort and money. I'd much rather pay someone else to go do that for me. So if you can pay someone else to go do that for you and you're not spending the time and wasting money on it, any sort of link that will give you a relevant page, preferably already in the index, so that eliminates a guest post automatically. But if that guest post is in a top-level navigation structure, you're a little bit better off. If it's in the menu structure, you're a little bit better off. But the closest to index you can get is how I'm going to answer that question. To me, I don't care how you're getting the link, as long as it's something that is relevant with potentially traffic and is already being crawled, right?
It goes back to, what's the patent that had the linking diagram actually in it?
The one that had the DA stack on it. That was the link graph patent, I think.
Yeah. So everyone look up the link graph patent. I mean, Google did it for you at that point. So the further away from the index, like Mike said, you get, the further, less relevant it becomes.
And what's funny is, John Mueller just actually was talking about how patents, he made a big point of like, don't pay attention to patents because you don't know if they're being used. So when they make statements like that, you can pretty much go and look for the ones that they're using, because that's disinformation right there. But yeah, Google, if you look for link graph, I forget the title of the patent. It's been a couple years since I looked at it. It's like 6-7 years old. It actually has a link graph on the images in there. And it shows you exactly how you want to link your.
And that'll help you understand relevance and how everything's like kind of interconnected.
It's basically like, here you got a site. So it's like this, okay? If you have a site like
two sites.
Let's take an obvious example. We have a site like DuckDuckGo. I need to check something before I say this. Let's give me 1 second. DuckDuckGo before I say this. All right. So if you have a site like DuckDuckGo and you're ranked in DuckDuckGo, do you think Google values the first page ranking of DuckDuckGo more than, say, a shitty PBN site that was just created and a post is thrown up? Which page would have more value in Google's eyes to you, right? Now, not a lot of people think of a search engine ranking as a backlink, but I will tell you they are. And the answer is they trust DuckDuckGo more than they trust the shitty PBN that is published, right?
Well, from a GMB perspective, it would be my opinion that they consider
they do
other map packs.
Absolutely.
If you've got it in Google, Bing, Yahoo, and everywhere else that offers a map pack. Apple Maps, anywhere else, Waze, that's going to push.
So if you go look at the indexation of DuckDuckGo in Google right now, you will see that they're indexing DuckDuckGo. Now, when the bot goes to DuckDuckGo and sees a page ranked on the first page of DuckDuckGo, and they crawl to that site right there, and they find an article that has a link to your website, you are 1-2 hops away from a seed site. A seed site is what Google trusts and they use to make their calculation. There has to be a beginning calculation somewhere, right? So they're going to rank you based on, like, this is throwing out traffic, all this other shit. If we just did links, they're going to rank you based on how far away or close you are to that seed site. So if you're one step removed and you're ranked in DuckDuckGo, you're doing great. If you're the next step in the tier, then you're doing really good. Now, if you're in a PBN that is like 10 tiers away and you're at a link from that PBN, you're pretty damn far away from that seed source of DuckDuckGo. And so that link is worth way less than the other stuff. Now, there's a lot of shit thrown on top of this, but that's the concept of the link graph, okay? So understanding that, if you publish a post on a PBN and that PBN never updates, eventually that PBN, say it's linked to from a site that's ranked, eventually that's going to change, that ranking is going to change, and that link is going to move further away in the link graph, and you're going to have decay in your link profile.
Yeah, it's asset decay. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And that's why velocity is important. One of the reasons velocity is important because you're continually decaying as links are becoming further away from seed sources, right?
That's why we go the mini-net route. If we're doing link building in that arena or in that way, we do the mini-net route. We get a distribution network off of it, and we try and continually publish relevant content on that page. And Viral Clout asked, so your PBNs can become your niche edits. Yes. If you want to go deep enough, if you want to go deep enough into a niche, what I would suggest is going out and finding, 10 to 20 either expired domains, auction domains. I prefer expired because I can grab them right away, but I want them to have some type of relevant link base to it. Maybe I can grab the old content and throw it back up on the site, and then I want to continually publish that, build entities around each one of those, and then I've got a pretty badass niche edit network that's relevant to the niche that I want to just take over at that point.
And that's the whole NFG thing. Like this is how we've been doing SEO for freaking years. I mean, I've been doing it for a decade.
Yeah, we kind of revealed it at the first event in Orlando, 4 or 5 years ago now.
You can find the training for free, honestly, at nfgseo.com, /7. You can find the videos where it's all laid out if you really want to look. But it's just there are these key elements like link graph, traffic, and all rank score modifiers that make ranking. But understanding the key things like that link graph thing like puts you in a position of power and more knowledge than other people. So you're always going to want to look for seed sites. And there's actually a database out there that Yahoo used to do the initial seed site testing that you can find the list of seed sites. But I don't recommend going down that right. If you like,
I would find niche relevant seed sites, in my opinion. And if you go back a few weeks to the where we showed everyone how to find expired domains, that's essentially the patent that process is based on.
And honestly, we could probably do a show like showing how to find them. It's not that difficult.
We did, didn't we, a few weeks ago?
I think that it is exactly how you do it, but I don't think it's hard for people to understand that like the same processes do the same things over and over again. So it's just a simple, easy building blocks. I guess we don't want to do another show on it. I would say if you need reinforcement, go watch that show again where Brad walked through finding domains and how we start to find domains for our networks.
We start with seed sites, though. That is the core of the method.
That's how you do it. Like you'll see Brad, he's looking in a niche where he knows what's important. Essentially, thank you, man. Essentially, because he knows what's important, he knows like what sites are important to have links to, and that's why what you're looking for in your domains that you buy. Just because, like, say you find a site with like all these cool metrics, way more backlinks, so then you have another one with like 5 backlinks, but you know those 5 backlinks are from like seed sites in your market.
Seed sites that I can't get links to on my own. They're never going to return my emails. I'm not going to try and do guest posting and outreach to those. Yeah, that's what I look for, because I can always build more edits and build up the DR or whatever external metric that you want to use. You can always do that later and power up the site, but you can't go out easily and get seed site links. Like rehabs.com, you got to pay them monthly. You've got to go through all this paperwork, and then each call that comes from their site, you've got to pay them like 50 or 60 bucks, you have to pay them 50 or 60 bucks. So it's a big lead gen platform.
It's a similar concept to going out and trying to find like domains that already have map listings and shit like that, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Very similar.
Yeah. Mark Rose is also saying, talking about the PBNs and stuff like that, if PBNs repurpose their content via social, then it's fresh content again. Would you agree with that?
It's still not in a link graph, and it's not the same concept. It's a different concept. We're talking about the actual link graph, and you're not, just because Facebook is a seed site in social media, it doesn't make it a seed site in roofing. It doesn't make it a seed site in rehabilitation. Like, it's not a static thing. It's a market by market basis. And that's why there's no one template that works for every single market. You need to know your markets. You need to start with your basics and do your market research, so that you actually know what you're building your SEO platform.
The easiest way to do that as well is go into whatever search you want to take over and see who's ranking and see where they're getting backlinks from. Where's their crossover? Yeah.
The site is fresh. The site is is publishing, it's got content, it's got a reason to have it crawled, doesn't make it important in your backlink profile by doing that, is what I'm trying to get at. You are correct in what you're talking about for doing that. Yes, it does do that.
Miko Back's asking, do expired domains still carry juice from their backlinks, or does the power come from its relevance and age?
Relevance for sure. Age, not so much, because I've heard that it resets if it goes completely expired, which I don't care. I just want those relevant links going back to it. It's not going to be extremely powerful from like a link juice perspective, but I can always build that in later. I can't get the relevance from the backlinks if I just go out and try and build them.
Yeah. It's impossible. Yeah, you really... What you want to do, here's the thing you want to do in that case. You want to find the site that has 5 links with from the seed sites, and you want to go out and you want to go to the backlinks that are pointing to the site you just bought, and you're going to go throw freaking edits at that page and reactivate the crawl through that, and then come back in and reactivate the crawl to the site, and then everything's going to kick on like it's like light switch on, and now boom, you get the boost. Right?
And I love when I find out that an expired domain that I bought because of the seed sites also has a social profile to it that either is still going or abandoned or whatever, but it's still linking back to the site. Then that's just more link targets for the edits that you hit. Wake that up as well.
I just found a domain, dude. It's a site I was actually using for something I was actually using for like in my personal life to like find content or find answers to like shit that's really nerdy that I'm not going to talk about right now. And all of a sudden I got there and it was parked, bro. It was parked. I'm like, what? I got the domain for like freaking $10, dude. And it's got like a 7-year history. Like freaking the profile is freaking nutty, bro.
Can you download all the old content?
Yep. Actually, I know the guy, he shifted his business. He's given me the content, dude.
Sweet. That's sick.
I'm just trying to find something to show you something. Give me a second. I just want to show you something on backlinks. I just need to do. Give me a second. Where the fuck did that just go? I opened it up. Right, I've got it. It's fine. So I'm just going to share my screen. Just want to see what you guys think of this little trick, which I think you just kind of mentioned a second ago. Screen share. So I found a whole bunch of links here on some of the UK's top websites, and obviously the domains or the links that were on there had this kind of anchor text and stuff like that. But basically, these were expired domain names, which I was then able to simply 301 to my website. Job done. So you can have a look at things like that as well.
Absolutely, dude. And honestly, I would, like, if you want the extra boost, like what we just talked about, you could go back to any links that are pointing to those pages there and start boosting those pages. And it's going to boost that 301 because
that'll helping improve relevance as well.
Dude, it's straight up because like literally like it comes out of Google's mouth constantly. 301s do not diminish fucking page rank, dude. Like people talk about, well, it's 90%, it's 80%, whatever. It doesn't diminish page rank unless they determine it's not relevant. Okay. So in that case, like that's a perfect situation for that. That's like a dream to find. I love that. That's a perfect situation. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And those links effectively cost me $10 each.
Yeah. Yep.
From the top premium creme de la creme PR articles that are out there. So PR newspapers that are out there. So that's just another little.
Yeah, especially with a site like yours, that type of boost from there, you're going to see a huge benefit from it.
The next topic I was going to bring up that we're not going to get to because we got good questions is that broken link building. And that's essentially like the real way to do it. Like, don't go out and say, hey, replace this link with this piece of content. Go out and find the shit that's already down, get it, make it relevant, like have it be relevant, throw it in and throw your power behind it. And that's how to spend your time, dude. You don't have to go out and hack people's websites. You don't have to go out and freaking beg for links. You can go and be a smart technical SEO like Craig just showed, find stuff that was gone, pick it back up, throw it up. If you even wanted to do it in a different way, you could pick it up, throw it up with the old content and then throw a feed in it from your site that you're marketing. And now you're automating content into that and you got a real site going. So you're 301ing that, you're creating a new site. It's just, this is how you can start to do things within legality, not terms of service, legality, and get this going on, because now you recreate that, you get the crawl going on, you need a new backlink somewhere, go in there, edit a page that already exists and point it to the new page, and you've got your own edit, right? You've made your own niche edit, okay? So, yeah.
Viral Clout's asking, what about buying old news websites and applying for Google News? The site might not be relevant, but you can put a relevant article on it.
If you're going, I would say do this if you're going to be, if you're an SEO doing contract work, if you are in PR, you're doing press and stuff, or if you have major sites and you're going to be in the same network, you're going to be launching different networks, there's always a place for having a site in Google News. Like, there's much easier ways to get into top stories. It makes things a lot easier in some cases to go in, get in, and get traffic from Google. So anytime you can do this, yes, you will make that. Like I said,
I'd also be looking at can I monetize the old news website beyond from a linking perspective? Can I can I build it up and put the old content on there and then get advertising revenue from people, or is there enough traffic that I think I can generate to at the very least throw AdWords or AdSense on there? Can I get people? Can I become essentially a guest post site in the non-traditional sense, where people pay me for a link out? You know, if it's a good enough site. I mean, you can make make money with news sites. It just takes more work than I really traditionally do. Yeah.
And it's that you always want to be monetizing every site you put up. Like, you'll never hear us not say, like, you need to go find
that comes from the mini-net method. Yeah.
But also in this case, it's the same thing as the Facebook comment that I made, which is Facebook is not necessarily an expert and in the link graph for the topic that you're on, but that page on the site might be. It's not a site-based thing. Clusters and backlink profiles are a group of pages that can belong to multiple topics, okay? So a page on Facebook can be in a cluster about social media. It could be in a cluster about roofing. It could be in a cluster about rehab. It could be in a cluster about any topic you can think of, backlink websites, whatever. So if you have a site that has enough authority, then you could potentially get benefit out of the individual page on that website. Now, what Brad said, you can take it a step further. If you can get people to publish PR and you're keeping that PR in the index forever, and those pages get a lot of traffic, well, now you have a really good target for your niche edits. And now you've got a bunch of topical niche edits that you can create for yourself and point them wherever you want to point them. So
yeah, essentially you just bought a publishing platform.
Yeah, exactly.
It's it's like back in the day if you were able to buy a newspaper, outlet.
If I bought it just for a backlink, what I would do, I would restore the content. I'd put some new content on, maybe set up a feed. And then on the relevant page, I would push a lot of relevant edits behind that page directly.
I would also, you don't want to just do the single piece of content that's relevant. You want to create clusters around that singular piece of content and then link out and link to all of those. So you don't just want one, like it's going to be nowhere near relevant enough. You just post a single piece of content. So say we're like the dogs and posters, if you buy a poster news site, I don't know why the fuck you would, but a poster news site, and like you're trying to link over to this dog site and that's the only reason you bought it was that one backlink. You want to create multiple dog or pet articles around that dog poster page on the poster site, so you can link out, and then you can, like Mike said, come behind all of those with edits to push it.
The way we teach our students in NFT is there's always the same answer for everything. You're going to have a primary and a set of supports. If you want to have a backlink on the news site, you're going to make that page a primary and have a set of supports, and those will become primaries with their own set of supports, meaning that can be on page. So you've got the news article, then you've got on page linking to it, and on all of that you have off page linking to it, which again, if it's an edit, it's already in the index. It has everything linking on it. So all of this is these levels of 2 pages that make all of the stuff that you do. So yeah, it's very possible to utilize.
One final question before we do wrap up, and it's just very relevant to what you've just spoken about. Do you use software to build out the old content on an expired domain? something like Wayback Machine. But is there a way to automate that?
I would I typically, if I'm just using it for linking, I'll do a go to a Wayback Exporter service. If in the case of the news site where there's a crap ton of content, everything, I would probably get one of my web design guys to do an update to the design because they're typically older, and as well say, hey, grab all the old content, recreate all of the old articles if it's that big of a site. Otherwise, I'm just using a Wayback downloader that you can do that in WordPress, or you get them to do an HTML, and it's just up there.
Look at relevance like this. If the reason there's duplicate content issues is because if you had a page that is exactly relevant to the page, meaning the same exact words, and it's on topic, like really optimized for Google, the best backlink you could get was another page on a good domain that is exactly the same. So if you can get that content down and put it back up, that's your best bet, whether you 301 it or do a backlink or not. So that's just the way optimal world. It's not logical, but there's ways to get around it. We don't have time today for it.
Mark Rose is saying a Dogecoin poster would sell fast.
It would, especially right now. I saw Elon Musk bought, speaking of Elon Musk, he's in that picture, bought 1.5 billion of Bitcoin over the weekend, or had to file with the SEC. It blew up yesterday. It was crazy. Dogcoin's up too, but that's just a joke. So
Captain Morgan has a good point. And that's one of the problems I have. We didn't get to a lot of the link building practices I wanted to go over and make fun of. But realistically, if you're chasing your tail, spending a lot of money just for a single backlink, you're probably just wasting a whole bunch of time. Have monetization in mind. If you're building, it's easier to buy a link than to build a website you control and maintain for a link. So if you're going to do the website build and build a mini net, then I would suggest monetizing it as much as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, use it as a GMB lander at the very least if you're doing local.
That's the minimum I would do.
Yeah.
All right.
But we are out of time, guys. Thank you very much for all the questions, and obviously thanks to Brad and Mike for
Thanks, Craig.
And sharing.
How many more methods we got, Mike? Do we need
I have
to do
176 more.
So that'll take us through the end of the fucking year. Yeah.
Yeah. But we should probably do more methods next week.
Yeah, we will.
I like it. Yeah.
Good.
This created a lot of fantastic questions.
We'll just do more methods and we'll pull it out. We'll break it down and murder it.
Break it down.
But yeah, thank you everyone. Make sure you do like and subscribe, and also check out ODYS if you're interested in age domains or done for you affiliate websites. Thank you very much, everyone. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Later.
Yeah.